Hey all, I'm Yuksen, and I welcome you to another short box from Warhammer 40k's Grim History from the Beyond. Last time I finished off the Dark Hunters with the box titled, The Dark Hunters Go to War. This time the topic is the survivalist chapter known as The Raptors. Now for those of you who are unaware, I've started a series of boxes on minor chapters. As such, let me know in the comments if there is a minor chapter you'd like me to discuss. While I'm on the subject of audience participation, if you enjoy this box, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to go that extra mile, become a member. And with that, let's talk Birds of Prey. Raptors are a second founding of the Ravenguard. They follow in their founder's footsteps when it comes to having a specialty in guerrilla warfare and infiltration. Well, that is to say, it became more prevalent after they dropped the blue and yellow color scheme for the drab green color they wear now. Along with the prior mentioned specializations, the chapter's experiences have led them to be famously known for their jungle and anti-orc warfare skills. Now these, along with others to be mentioned later, are excellent reasons for them to stand out as a chapter. But what mostly draws people in when looking at them is that they actually use camo patterns during different campaigns. For example, during the Sancta Angelus campaign, they made use of actual desert camo. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. As many records of the chapter's history are lost, the Raptors' exact origins are unclear. It is generally accepted that the chapter is descended from the Ravenguard, and was one of the first new Space Marine chapters created during the second founding in M31. According to one widely believed theory, the Raptors originated as a Ravenguard Legion company of new initiates training on Deliverance at the time of the infamous Drop Site Massacre. This company was subsequently sent against the followers of Horus in remote parts of the galaxy, thus diverging from the rest of the Ravenguard. Having distinguished itself in the Civil War, the company was subsequently reorganized as a chapter amid the reforms initiated by the Codex Astartes. The fledgling Raptors then began their service to the Imperium as a fleet-based chapter hunting down the forces of the traitor legions in the Great Scouring. Several centuries after the founding, the Raptors were granted a homeworld on the edge of the Eye of Terror, the name of which was lost in the passage of time. Sometime between M34 and M36, the Raptors' original homeworld was believed to have been destroyed sometime during the 4th or 5th Black Crusade. In M37, Imperial records listed the chapter as destroyed or missing in action. The Raptors disappeared for the next 2,000 years. In early M39, the Raptors suddenly reappeared on the Imperial Order of Battle during the Cabariad Wars at full chapter strength. By then, they were based on a new homeworld, Terran, within the Sutter Spiral Nebula. However, the Raptors did not reveal their new homeworld's exact location or name to any outsiders, including other Imperials. Although Terran is technically their homeworld, the Raptors also maintain many more recruiting worlds in and around the Sutter Spiral Nebula, as well as various secret sites to train their aspirants. The chapter also often recruits people from active war zones and newly conquered or liberated worlds. The chapter's extensive recruitment stems from its high loss rate among its aspirants and scouts due to their gene seed as well as constant combat deployments. Likewise, despite Terran status as their homeworld, it doesn't have an identified fortress monastery. This is caused by the fact that the Raptors are more often than not on the move. As such, they use the battle barge Excepiter as their fortress monastery instead of a base on Terran. Now, Terran is an isolated, small planet with highly diverse environment which regularly experiences substantial changes due to the anomalies affecting the Sutter Spiral Nebula. It is a temperate world covered in small continents and archipelagos, with a wide range of biomes, including steppes, alpine forests, jungles, and deserts. The stellar drift and gravitational anomalies that affect the Sutter Spiral Nebula cause its temperature and atmosphere to regularly fluctuate and have resulted in proliferation of hardy flora and fauna capable of adapting to these changes. The planet's human population is equally hardy, as well as very adaptable, providing excellent recruits to the chapter. Due to the planet's challenging environment, the Raptors also use Terran gas as their primary training ground for potential recruits, as well as neophytes, including those taken from the Raptors' other recruiting worlds. Now that we have discussed their beginnings, let's discuss their organization. The Raptors follow their progenitors, the Ravenguard, in adhering to the broad organizational patterns and provisions laid down in the standard Codex Astartes. But as a chapter, the Raptors see the Codex as a highly effective and proven set of strategic and operational guidelines, rather than the inviolable dogma to be obeyed without question. As a result, they maintain a high degree of flexibility in their deployments and structures. Each of the companies operates on a largely independent basis, vying across the breadth of the Imperium. It is only in dire situations that multiple companies will fight together. Just like their parent chapter, the Raptors make extensive use of their 10th company and disperse their Vanguard Marines and Scouts amongst their task forces. It is not uncommon for entire Raptors task forces to be composed of Infiltrator, Inceptor, and Reaver squads. As is the general flow of things, we shall discuss a little about their combat doctrine. The Raptors are known for shunning the glory of close-quarter combat favored by many other chapters, for the simple expediency of the clean kill from afar with ranged weapons, along with making extensive use of their scout marines throughout their task forces. The Raptors maintain a sizable contingent of land speeders of all types, as well as a core of diverse armored vehicles. They prefer to employ these assets, along with their assault units, in precision strikes to overwhelm an enemy at strategically crucial junctures in battle, after determining the most effective pressure point at which to break the enemy. Flexibility and willingness to adapt to their situation represents the core of the Raptors' combat doctrine. As they prepare to engage their opponents, these Space Marines are always careful to identify all of their assets and utilize them to the fullest means possible. These often include assets that are not identified within the constraints of the Codex Astartes, even when operating well within the strictures of that tome. These Battle Brothers may choose to take measures that others might consider dishonorable. Now, many Space Marine chapters exhibit a clear disdain for the use of concealment, secrecy, espionage, and counterintelligence. The Raptors know, however, that such tactics provide a limited number of countermeasures to overcome those who would use such deception against members of the Adeptus Astartes. However, the Raptors chapter enthusiastically and consistently applies these techniques throughout its battles, deceiving their opponents as to the timing, nature, and objectives of an attack can often grant the Space Marines a significant tactical advantage. Similarly, by expertly scouting a region prior to launching an attack, the Raptors are often able to insert their forces without their opponents realizing the number or nature of the opposing forces. However, such insertions are entirely dependent upon the reliability and accuracy of their initial recon work. This requires extensive dependence upon their Scout Marine units, which exceeds the level characteristic of many other Space Marine chapters. When engaged in scouting missions, the chapter's Battle Brothers typically focus on both gathering intelligence and on countering the opposition's efforts. Just as they work to penetrate the fog of war, they may also deliver false, but credible information. Consequently, at the same time as the Space Marines penetrate directly to the most vulnerable points of their opponent's strategy, those opponents are unaware to locate the heart of the Raptors' forces. This stratagem has often enabled the Raptors to effectively engage opponents that enjoy an even greater numerical advantage than is typical for Imperial Space Marine forces. In keeping with their willingness to make use of every available resource, the Raptors chapter often takes direct charge of any Astra Militarum units available in a given theater, rather than deferring to the organization's intrinsic leadership. These Space Marines deploy their members among the merely human forces, and then take a direct hand in their disposition and tactics. During the course of an engagement, there are two favored elements to any plan that these Battle Brothers are likely to enact. The first is a supreme reliance upon their marksmanship. Now, it's unclear if enhanced marksmanship is an innate element in the Raptors' gene seed, or simply a consequence of their training. In either case, these Space Marines are highly skilled sharpshooters, even by the exceptionally high standards of the Adeptus Astartes. The second core strategy is the use of the hit-and-run tactic. The Raptors chapter is exceptionally well equipped with assault bikes, land speeders, and jump packs. Whenever possible, these Space Marines favor the use of guerrilla tactics and ambushes to deplete enemy forces prior to a more traditional engagement. Millennia of refining their techniques has enhanced their ability to the point that these Battle Brothers are often able to decimate enemy forces through precision surgical strikes, minimizing the enemy forces present in future conflicts. When these tactics are considered in combination with their extraordinary marksmanship, it's not surprising that some have likened the chapter to Space Marine assassins. To accommodate this tendency, the Raptors keep a typical sizable contingent of all types of land speeders as part of their armory. In keeping with the value that these Space Marines place upon independent thought, each of the Raptors' companies operates on a largely independent basis. It is only in reaction to a particularly dire threat that multiple companies gather to cooperate. For the last few millennia, they have fought across the breadth of the Imperium, wherever they have been needed. I think I'll finish things off by discussing how even the Raptors' librarians' unique powers emphasize their tactics. You see, on top of the general Astartes librarian psychic abilities, the Raptors' librarians have three notable psychic abilities that are exclusive to their chapter. The first is called Librarian's Farsight. The librarian calls upon his psychic gifts to enhance his vision and grant himself a hunter's gaze, which can sweep across the battlefield to find targets. Imagine being able to not only pick out targets at extreme range, but also thwart their attempts to hide, differentiating shapes from within shadow to see those that are trying to hide from you. That is what this ability does. Obviously superb for scouting, infiltration, and sniping. The second is called Raptor's Wings. The librarian can manifest great wings of psychic power which bear him aloft. While active, others will be able to see the librarian's wings as crackling green nimbuses of energy that arch up over his shoulders and can make it very difficult for him to hide. Of course, when you take in the fact that he's probably alongside Astartes flying with their jetpacks, hiding probably isn't the objective at the time. Or for that matter, if you're faced with a lot of people shooting at you from down below, are you really going to be looking that high in the sky? Anyways, the third ability is called Screaming Eagles. The librarian summons forth a swarm of shadowy birds of prey from the warp, which rise up from the ground, screaming for the blood of his enemies. The effects of this power also have the effect of creating a brief cloud of darkness when the ethereal birds spring from the ground. And, though not complete darkness, this does foul vision and cast a shadow over the area of effect as thousands of black beating wings arc skyward. Well, I hope you enjoyed this short Vox. Over the next couple weeks, I shall discuss the Raptors chapter beliefs, notable characters, equipment, campaigns, and possibly a couple other topics. I'd like to once again thank John Bomb L225 and Ninja Sniper Killer 65 for these suggestions. Have a great day, and as always, until next time, this is Yuksen, signing off.